Hi, I'm Phil.
And I'm Lauren, and we're Live Transformed.
So today we pick up in the life of Joseph. We've taken a look at Joseph from the beginning, and probably the main thing that we've seen so far is life is just not going well for him. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's having these dreams, and his brothers get that frustrated. We talked about how anger and frustration can lead to thoughts of murder, and how we have to. That's why the Lord tells us to control our thoughts and control our mind from the door, really, because you let it fester and it gets into something else. Then he's sold into slavery. So, I mean, that's a win because they were going to kill him. So he didn't die. He went into slavery.
Right.
Now he's gone to Potiphar's house.
Hey, if you want to support Live Transform, please subscribe to our channel. Please like the videos, and please share them with people you think may benefit from hearing the information that we give.
We'd love for you to comment and let us know more material that you'd like to hear about. It also helps YouTube share our channel with other people. So be sure to comment on what you like and what you'd like to hear more of.
We can't wait to see you.
Which he could have gone to a lot of bad places.
Right.
He ended up in the second in command in Egypt, home. So, I mean, that's a win. Then he actually ends up being the lead slave or the head slave in charge of everything under Potiphar. So that's the blessing of the Lord after the terrible circumstance of slavery. Then we move forward. His wife has other ideas for Joseph. She wants to sleep with him. So Joseph's like, what I love that he says, I will not sin against the Lord. Not Potiphar, not people, not you. I'm not going to commit adultery. It's I will not sin against the Lord. And so she's mad, and she frames him pretty much and makes it look like he tried to sleep with her when he didn't. She tried to grab him, gets his garment. Now she has proof. She tells her husband, this crazy Hebrew that you brought in here, try to make him feel guilty so he'll feel bad enough to punish him. But he still ends up in the higher prison, not the terrible prison. But he's in prison nonetheless. No one wants to be in prison. Then we had the cupbearer and the baker, the dreams. He interpreted them, and we ended up, he was forgotten. The cupbearer, what he said would happen, he ends up bearing cups to the Pharaoh again. The baker dies like he said, and he said, don't forget me. And he forgot him. And so, again, the terrible thing is, every time it looks like something good could happen to you, you may have to wait. And we find out at the beginning of, we're at chapter 41 now, the first verse says, after 2 whole years. So, it's 2 years later. This dude totally forgot about him. 2 years in jail is a long, I mean, I don't know. I've never been in jail, but I'm not trying to find out. And I definitely wouldn't be trying to find out for 2 years because these are not jail like we have jail. This was probably some kind of nasty dungeon, filthy environment. And granted, he was in charge and all that, but I don't think you're trying to be in jail.
Being in charge of the jail is still not the ideal situation. And just, I would think just the waiting day after day. When is he going to remember me? When is he going to remember? How am I going to get out of here? 2 years is a long time.
Right. Especially when you told the guy to remember you and you're thinking, well, once he tells Pharaoh, I'm probably going to be out of here.
Right.
And the waiting just continues to wait.
Yeah.
He continues to wait. So we're going to pick up in chapter 41, verse 1 through 8 is where we're going to start. So after 2 whole years, and somebody brought to our attention today, it says whole. So it was a long time, and it was the full year. It wasn't, a year and 3/4. 2 whole years, Pharaoh dreamed that he was standing by the Nile, and behold, there came up out of the Nile 7 cows, attractive and plump, and they fed in the reed grass. Okay, so we have these really good-looking cows, clearly. Plump cows. And behold, 7 other cows. These cows were ugly and thin. They came up out of the Nile after them, and they stood by the other cows on the bank of the Nile. And the ugly, thin cows are up the 7 attractive, plump cows. Or excuse me, they ate them up. And Pharaoh awoke. All right, so the thin, nasty, scrawny-looking cows eat up the fat cows. What could that mean? Pharaoh awoke, and he fell asleep and dreamed a second time. And behold, the 7 ears of grain, plump and good, were growing on one stalk. And behold, after them sprouted 7 ears, thin and blighted by the east wind. And the thin ears swallowed up the 7 plump full ears. And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. So this is his second dream. So in the morning his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for all the magicians and of Egypt and all its wise men. So these are the
necromancers.
Yeah, these evil people that use basically satanic, demonic spirits to try to figure all these things out. And Pharaoh told them his dreams, but there was none who could interpret them to Pharaoh. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're in an impasse here. Now we know about somebody that was forgotten. Mm-hmm. Then the chief cupbearer said to Pharaoh, I remember my offenses today, when Pharaoh was angry with his servants and put me in the chief baker. So he's just going back through the story. When you put us in jail for what for the accusations against us, we had dreams. And at this point in time, there was a young Hebrew there with us. He interpreted our dreams. I'm just paraphrasing this part. He interpreted our dreams and he told it to us, and it all came about. So all of a sudden, this guy now remembers him. Now, like we said before, God's timing is different than our timing, but we see God's timing here because it triggered in his mind when no one else could figure out the dream. I do know a guy that can interpret dreams.
And we also have to understand that there was a reason Joseph was staying there the 2 whole years, or God would have had the cupbearer remember him earlier. So we have to remember that God's timing is perfect. Now, Joseph, as the one waiting, probably didn't feel like that. And if you've ever been in a season of waiting, you're like, hurry up, God, I need an answer, I need a breakthrough. But in that season, God is making plans and doing things that will better us. And now is the time because the cupbearer remembers him.
And to your point, there's times of trial, there's times of preparation. We can get all mad and say, God, this isn't where I want it to be. You are not doing what I want. And last I checked, the Bible does not say our will versus his will. It is his will be done, and we get in line with his will. And it may look bad, and it may seem frustrating, but it could be training, it could be preparation, it could be it's just not time, and this is where you're going to be, whether you like it or not. Right. There's a lot of reasons. But we should take, when we have this, now this is easy to say. This is very easy to say and hard to do. This is an opportunity for us to say, here I am, God. Whatever you're doing, I'm on board. I'm just going to keep taking the next step, and wherever you take me is where I'm going. As opposed to, I'm frustrated and I don't understand this, and I don't trust you anymore.
Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they quickly brought him out of the pit. And when he had shaved himself and changed his clothes, he came in before Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I have had a dream, and there is no one who can interpret it. I have heard it said of you that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it. Joseph answered Pharaoh, it is not in me. God will give Pharaoh a favorable answer.
So again, here we see Pharaoh called for Joseph. So this is God's sovereignty here, and he gets him out of the pit, brought him out of the pit. Now, so he's like, you're not coming. So this is how we know jail wasn't that great. And we know Pharaoh's the man. He's the one, right? The chosen one to be in charge of all this. But he's like, he had to shave himself and change his clothes. So he probably stunk, was disgusting, and looked crazy. So they had to do all that before he could even go in the presence of Pharaoh. So we know it wasn't a pleasant life he was living. Now, Pharaoh tells him he had a dream and no one can interpret it. And it said that you can do it. But Joseph's response is not, yeah, I'm the man. Like, I have interpreted some dreams. I've been waiting on you for a while. You should have called me a long time ago. You wouldn't have had this problem. That's not his response, which that would be a lot of our responses. A lot of us would have been like, well, why'd you have me in the pit? I could have been up here interpreting dreams. But his response was, it says he answered Pharaoh, it is not in me. God will give you a favorable answer. Gave Pharaoh a favorable answer. So his first thing is, pivot from me, let's look at God. I'm going to show you the one that I go to for this stuff. It's not me. So he's not taking credit for anything he does. He's saying, God gave me the ability to do this to glorify him, not anything about me and how awesome I am. Which, if you're the only one that can do this stuff and you've been put in these positions like Joseph have, he could have been cocky. I'm not saying he should have been. He could have been, and he's not. So this next section is just Pharaoh telling us the dreams. We're not going to read over the dream again because we already heard the dream. We got the fat cows and the skinny cows. The skinny cows eat the fat cows. We got the big good grain and plump grain, and then we have the grain that looks like it's about to wither away and die, and it eats the bigger grain. So, all right, what does that mean? So, picking up in verse 25. So he just got done telling him the dream again, exactly verbatim what we already heard. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, the dreams of Pharaoh are one. So 2 dreams, he's telling him, are one. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he's about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dreams are one. The 7 lean and ugly cows that came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 empty ears blighted by the east wind are also 7 years of famine. It is as I told Pharaoh. God has shown to Pharaoh what he's about to do. So the 2 dreams are one dream, and he keeps saying, God is telling you what he's about to do. There will come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt, but after them there will arise 7 years of famine, and all the plenty will be forgotten in the land of Egypt. The famine will consume the land. All right, so it's about to be really good, then it's about to be really bad. And the plenty will be unknown in the land by reason of famine that will follow. So the famine will be so bad, no one's even going to remember that it was good at all. For it will be very severe. All right, so there's no question here about how bad this is about to be. And the doubling of Pharaoh's dream means that the thing is fixed by God, and God will shortly bring it about. So the fact that he doubled the dream means it's for sure, and not only is it for sure, it's coming quick. There is no you got a lot of time to prepare on this. Now therefore let Pharaoh select a discerning and wise man and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh proceed to appoint overseers over the land and take 1/5 of the produce of the land of Egypt during the 7 years of plentiful years, and let them gather all the food of these good years that are coming and store up grain under the authority of Pharaoh for food in the city. So each city will store up food, but Pharaoh's over all of this, and let them keep it. So each city will keep it. That food shall be the reserve for the land against the 7 years of famine that are to occur in the land of Egypt, so that the land may not perish through the famine. So he is preparing all of this, and it's the crazy part is he knows he's the only one that knows all this stuff, and he's not even he's saying pick somebody who knows what they're doing. He's not like, like the guy who came up here and did all the stuff. He's just like, you get somebody who's discerning and wise to oversee it, and this is the plan. Like, this is the plan that person needs to do.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting, God not only gave him the interpretation, but the plan to work out. So Pharaoh has to be like, well, okay. I mean, he doesn't know what the dreams mean. Now he knows what they mean and what he's supposed to do. So he's seeing God in all of this.
Well, so next it says Joseph rises to power. All right, this pleased Pharaoh. All right, Pharaoh said to his servants, "Can we find a man like this in who is the Spirit of God?" So that's crazy. Like, this is not a believer. Pharaoh, they worship all kinds of like crazy gods and things, and they worship money and power and all that stuff. And he says, and this is where we see God, again, God's sovereignty in people, and God moving through people that aren't believers, but he still has control over them, because this guy recognizes, he says, in whom is the Spirit of God. Like, this guy's for real. Joseph knows the God of the universe, and that's why I want him doing this. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Since God has shown you all this, there is none so discerning and wise as you are." So he equates Joseph knowing God to be discerning and wise and knowing all things. So he's putting God in his place as well, based on what Joseph did. Mm-hmm. So we can see the influence we can have on other people who may not even believe in God, based on how we interact with God and what we do, and then how we act after that. Because Joseph isn't acting cocky or arrogant. He's just saying, get somebody who's wise. What does Pharaoh say? "You shall be over my house, and my people shall order themselves as you command." So you're in charge of my people. "Only as regards to the throne will I be greater than you," meaning the only fact that puts me above you is the fact that I'm already on the throne. But after that, you're in charge of everything. Mm-hmm. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, "See, I have set you over all the land of Egypt." All. That's one of those Bible words. All. You're over Egypt as a whole. Then Pharaoh took his signet ring from his hand and put it on Joseph's hand, and clothed him in garments of fine linen and put a gold chain around his neck. And he made him ride in his second chariot. And they called out before him, "Bow the knee." Thus he set him over all the land of Egypt. Man. So he gives him some fine clothes. He gives him some jewelry. He gives him the signet ring. He gives him the second chariot. Like, now he has this farmer boy tent guy that was herding sheep from way out in the land of Canaan, who they saw as people to look down upon, is now the fancy Egyptian leader guy who has all the stuff now.
And earlier today, he was in prison. So, I mean, what a shift in one day. And I think this needs to remind us, like, when you're going through seasons like this, things can change quickly when God's ready for them to change. And sometimes we get down on our circumstances and we think that things are never going to change. In one day, his entire life changed.
So Joseph is in charge now, and he's 30. What does that mean to you?
Well, he was 17 when he was sold into slavery. So, you know, when the Bible gives dates and times, we need to pay attention because it gives us insight. Because when we read Joseph's story, it's just a couple of chapters in Genesis. It's 13 years of his life. And so we have to remind ourselves, oh, well, look, then God did this and then he was out. And no, 13 years he spent on this roller coaster of seeking the Lord and then being in a pit and being in a prison and being forgotten, being falsely accused. Like, all these things keep happening to him. But God was with him. And that's what we have to remember about Joseph. We can also continually read, God was with him. And so now at 30, he is apparently who God is ready to use. Because at 17, he probably was not. We've watched Joseph change and build his character and become the man that God wants him to be. And so he needed time. He needed to be changed. And change is hard. It takes time. It takes trials.
And change might feel long. Because 13, I mean, most people aren't wanting a 13-year preparation period for whatever it is that God wants to do with them.
Right.
But he patiently, it seems based on what we read, he patiently waited.
Mm-hmm.
So verse 47, during the 7 plentiful years the earth produced abundantly, he gathered up all the food of these 7 years, which occurred in the land of Egypt, and put the food in the city. So just like the plan he said is the plan he's executing. Mm-hmm. He put in the city the food from the fields around it, and Joseph stored up grain in great abundance, like the sand of the sea, until he ceased to measure it, for it could not be measured. So, I mean, the sand of the sea, that's a lot of grain. So, and grain is something that is, not easily perishable, like something you can save.
Yeah.
So, that's crazy. He had he stored up so much grain you couldn't even measure it. Now he said 1/5, 20% of what the abundance was. So either there was this crazy abundance, which is a blessing from God, or God blessed his ability to collect it, and they still had abundance, and he collected more than anyone could even measure. Mm-hmm. So before he had some, it talks about his sons before the famine came. One of his sons was named Manasseh, and it says, the name means God had made me forget about all my hardship and all my father's house. And then his other son he named Ephraim, and God has made me fruitful in the land of my affliction. How cool is their names, how they mean so much. Mm-hmm. Like these names aren't just names. Like we're like, oh yeah, your name means this or that. And most people in the culture we come from don't even know what their name means. Mm-hmm. But their names always mean something so deep. Mm-hmm. So these 7 years of plenty occurred, and they came to an end. And now we have the famine, right? As Joseph said, there would be famine. And it was not just famine in their land, but all the lands. But in the land of Egypt, there was bread. And when all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. Pharaoh said to all the Egyptians, go to Joseph. What he says you do. Like, I'm not the man, he's the man. Like, he's the one that figured all this out. Go to him. So when the famine had spread all over the land, Joseph opened the storehouses, and he sold to the Egyptians, for the famine was severe in the land. Remember, it was going to be really bad. Moreover, all the earth came to Egypt, to Joseph, to buy grain, because there was famine all over the earth. So now not only is the famine there, but it's everywhere. And what he has this master business plan God gives him. Not only is it a blessing that he had the mentality to save everybody, but it's ingenious. You're the only person with the product, and you're a businessman. That's 100% of the share goes to you because no one else is selling what you're selling, and everybody in the world needs what you have. That's a winning plan last time I checked. So now Joseph his genius and his blessing from God is super benefiting Pharaoh at this point, because Pharaoh's like, wow, we're selling all the stuff that everybody needs. There's no one that won't buy because everyone needs it. And on top of that, we're the ones collecting all the money. Win-win for us.
Yeah. And you see God, this is why it's so important to read scripture, because you just see God work in so many different ways. And it's not always predictable. You can't look at a situation and think, well, God will do this because this is what he did there. As we read, we see God work in so many different ways. Even within Joseph's life, we've seen him do different things at different times. That should encourage us, though, because no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what pit you might be in, God can fix it. And he has a plan, and you need to stick with him, and you need to be patient, and you need to cling to him so that you can have the blessings that he has for you on the other side of the pit.
And the two things that just came to me while you were talking about that are, and you said the word patient. So patience and trust God. And patience encompasses, those words happen together. Because as you're trusting God, generally you have to be patient, because God's timing is not our timing, in the sense that he has a plan, and God, like, he's not stuck inside of space and time like we are. So what we think is long, God's like, it just is what it is. It ain't long to me. The Bible says 1,000 years like a day is like 1,000 years. So that's just trying to tell us that God doesn't operate on your calendar. You operate on your calendar. He's doing whatever he's doing, and his plan is better. So sometimes we have to sit there and just grind it out. To us, it's a grind. To God, it's the next thing. So like Joseph, don't just be transformed, live transformed. Be patient and trust God. And based off what we see here is why we read the Bible. You can trust God. He's faithful. He has a plan. It may not be going the way you wanted it or you thought. It doesn't matter what you wanted. It doesn't matter what you thought. God's plan is God's plan. That's what we have to get ourselves in alignment with. So next week, we're going to pick up on where is this leading us? Joseph has come up with this genius master plan because God told him, not because he came up with it. And now, what is going to happen as all these other people in the world are starving to death in this severe famine? And Joseph is the man with the answers, and we're about to find out what happens starting in chapter 42. We love you. We thank you for being with us. We'll see you next week.